The little girl adored her grandmother. She had spent all of her life, 12 years, learning and admiring her wisdom and kindness. Grandmother's name was Dorothea. Dorothy Jean Darling was the girl's name, after her grandmother. When she arose that August day in 1933, she was told grandmother wouldn't live much longer. She ran across the highway through the cornfields. Breathless but silent, she stood at the foot of the bed and watched her dear grandmother sleep. Suddenly, Dorothea turned her head, looked at her granddaughter, and nodded. "Oh, it's you, Dorothy. So you are the one who will have the farm." Many people might like a prophecy or prediction made about their future. This 12-year-old observed some really rough years of farming as her parents struggled during the Depression and Dust Bowl years. The last thing she wanted to do was farm. She wanted to get out of here. The year was 1933. By 1947, Dorothy Darling was Dorothy Wagner, married to a handsome, hard-working man named Richard. 14 years had brought about many changes in these young lives. Now there was a man of the land to be a partner with this woman of the land. Together they took the Andrew and Dorothea homestead of 1871 into its second century. Dorothy was born on that farm in Framness Township, August 15, 1921, to Rebecca and Robert Darling. The first year of her life, they lived in the Satter farmhouse in the dorm, while their home was built across the road. Life in the country was great fun for a child who liked horses and the wide open spaces. She was joined by two sisters, Ruth and Donna, and there were always many cousins to play with. She started school at District 14, about a mile down the road. Following her graduation in 8th grade, she attended high school in town. The country school became a new stone schoolhouse, using stones off the family farm. At Morris High School, she was very social and earned the nickname Dottie Dimples for her cute smile. She graduated in 1939 and entered the West Central School of Agriculture in Morris for business courses. The Darlings gave up farming and built a new home in town that was completed in 1940. Dorothy worked for a short time at a local bank and by 1942 was hired at the Morris Co-op as bookkeeper. World War II in Europe was making rationing of gasoline and other products a necessity. The co-op was also recycling rubber tires, which added to the responsibilities. "12 miles west of Morris, in Chicago, was the boyhood home of Richard Frank Wagner. He was the first son of Irma Asmus and Frank Otto Wagner. Irma's parents, Hermann and Bertha, were German immigrants. Frank had emigrated himself at the age of 12 from Austria, Germany. Both Irma and Frank were renowned cooks, and their fine food was featured in the pool hall that they owned. Richard had 6 siblings: Gloria, Robert, Jim, Dan, Marilyn, and Jean. Chicago had passionate ball players, and he played many an evening game in the streets of the town while attending grade school. When in 7th grade the family moved the business and the family to Morris, he transferred and graduated from high school in 1941. All the Wagner boys were very athletic. Dick played football, basketball, and excelled in baseball. He earned the nickname Windy Wagner for his constant shouting of encouragements to teammates. This nature, encouraging others, was a part of who Dick was. He entered Macalester College in St. Paul to play baseball and to become a medical doctor. On December 7th in 1941, while working in the dining hall, he heard about the Pearl Harbor attack. Dick knew his plans would change. After this freshman year, he enlisted in the Marine Corps the summer of 1942. The friendship with Dorothy Darling was growing into something more serious. 2 years would separate that romance, as Dick went off to war. Dorothy sent some pictures along to make his heart grow fonder. Boot camp training was in San Diego, California. 5 Minnesota Marines transferred to Camp Gillespie for parachute training. By February 1943, Dick Wagner was a United States Marine paratrooper. 2 months later, his ship, the USS Loreline, left for the island of New Caledonia. In November, they were in Bougainville, digging foxholes to escape enemy fire on a beach that intelligence had declared clear. These 800 Marines were involved in a bloody battle that lasted all day. Dick was among the wounded, hit by a sniper bullet. He was hospitalized for 5 weeks in Guadalcanal. Mail was slow and unpredictable. His family did not hear of his wounding and recovery, and he did not hear that his father had died from a heart attack until weeks after both occurred. Rejoining his outfit, they trained in Hawaii for one of the worst battles that the Marine Corps ever engaged in, Iwo Jima. New Year's Eve 1944, they shipped out. February 19, 1945, at 9:02, they struck. This tiny island, a key position needed to be captured. The fighting was named 35 Days in Hell, for all that survived it. Dick was wounded on day 12 and was pretty messed up this time. After several months in recovery and mourning the men he had called friends, he was assigned to train other new Marines. Only 1 Marine from his platoon had made it all the way through the battle. The rest were dead or wounded. The Marines had talked a great deal about the dreams they had for the future when they got home, if they got home. They all agreed that some would make it. Honoring each other's common dreams, the men that made it would say, "This one's for you." Dick was discharged on September 25, 1945. He was awarded the Purple Heart for 2 combat-related woundings. This medal, established by George Washington in 1782, was first named the Badge of Military Merit. It was redesigned and named by General Douglas MacArthur in 1932. At the time Dick earned it, it was given only for combat-related wounds or for those who died in combat. For the young people who had endured this war, the only thing left to do was get on with their lives, find a new track. Richard returned to Morris and to the young woman who had prayed for his return. He asked Dorothy to grow old along with me. The best is yet to be. This became a slogan between them. On June 17, 1947, they were married at First Lutheran Church in a candlelight ceremony. She was 25 and he was 24. They were changed, and they were committed to leaving their place better than when they came. That place ended up being the original homestead of Dorothy's grandparents, the place where she had been born, the place grandmother Dorothea had predicted would be hers. Dick went to work for Ottertail Power, setting poles and then climbing them to attach the wires. There was no electricity or electric appliances at the farm, so the couple cooked on an outdoor barbecue Dick built. On a Sunday, he and his co-workers set some poles and ran the power lines to the farm. They soon had a cozy home to start a family. John Richard, named after Dick's best friend in the Marines, was born November 1, 1949. Randy Lynn arrived October 13, 1951, and bears the name of her great-great-grandmother from Norway. Gary Jean was born on June 5, 1959. His older siblings nicknamed him Very Mean Wagner due to his cute little face with blonde hair and big, blue eyes. The farm was diversified with crops and livestock. Over the decades, it sustained herds of Holstein dairy cows, beef shorthorns, hogs, chickens, sheep, a dog or two, and kittens. The yard was full of fruit trees and plentiful gardens. Stones picked from the fields created stone walls to landscape and flower garden around. The home was a classic when they moved in and was beautified and updated with care. This was a place that those who had walked the land before would approve of. Family and friends enjoyed the country life that had been nicknamed Wagner's struggle. Dick and Dot entertained right on the farm with good homegrown food, good cooking, and good times. In the late 1950s, rural and town lines were being blurred. Country schools were closing, and country kids were being bused to town school. Students went from one or two classmates to some of the largest classes ever graduating from Morris High School. New equipment for homes included marvels like electric clothes dryers and automatic washers. For leisure, stereo and TV consoles were the new desired furniture piece. Children were engaged in TV wonders like Bonanza, North to Alaska, and Hey Hey We're the Monkeys, complete with ads featuring a British model named Twiggy, of all things. Dorothy and Dick were far more interested in the music that the stereo played, classics like Ebb Tide and Moon River. In later years, Montavani and Neil Diamond's Jonathan Livingston Seagull became new favorites. Dick enjoyed hunting and fishing. While courting Dorothy, he taught her marksmanship. The habitat of Stevens County was perfect for wildlife populations. Good fishing was only a few miles away. He shared this interest with children and grandchildren. Dorothy found real talent in writing and preserving history. By the end of her life, she had gathered the family histories and organized photo books supporting those stories. Her most appreciated work is a writing completed in 1978, which she named Man of the Land. This was the story of immigrant grandparents who made a tree claim on the very land she now lived on and loved. A mini-series of writings evolved, with each man of the land generation claiming their own time with the land. In 1976, she submitted an application for naming the farm a century farm. The original claim was still owned by her mother Rebecca, so was filed in her name. Today, in 2015, the farm has been owned and operated by a family member for 141 years. The fourth generation, Rose and Gary Wagner, are currently operating and caring for the land, and the fifth generation is living on it. Dorothy and Dick met and enjoyed all 9 of their grandchildren, that fifth generation. The feelings were mutual, and each grandchild was treated to Dick's whiskery face rub called the I hug. All of this energy and never-say-no attitude were sought out by their community. Dick served on the Framness Township Board for many decades. Among his tasks was payment for pocket and striped gopher feet when the young trappers would bring the jars full for their reward. He was Legion and VFW member. Dick and Dot both participated in organizations that promoted the farm products they raised. Their most faithful involvement was at First Lutheran Church, where 5 generations of the family worshipped. This was a central part of who Dick and Dorothy were. They were people of faith who lived their lives to make a difference. When Dick got the news that cancer was his lot in life, a particular Bible verse caught his attention as he sought comfort. The journey you are on is under the eye of the Lord. Dick's journey and time on the land ended December 28, 1999. Dorothy's time on the land ended November 27, 2004. Their very lives proclaimed that we are all on that journey. They lived their journey together, made their place a better place, and spent their time on the land, enjoying the blessing of that life.